Welcome to Systems Dynamics online tutorials. In this session we're going to cover the labor usage entry within the manufacturing environment of Dynamic 3i. What this application allows me to do is record all of the labor against a given job and actually all of the labor for a given employee on a given transaction date for any given job or operation that it may occur. This is the central point where any labor, if it's being tracked within the system, is injected into the system. Actual times are entered here, as well as any labor rates that want to be overwritten from the standard, or any shift codes that have to be injected into the system in order to calculate the labor time and labor costs against a given job. When we first enter into the application, we are asked for the transaction date. The system will default upon entry into the current day, current system time, or you could call up a prior day to actually put in the labor usage for the transaction date desired. Then the system automatically goes into query mode and asks me for the employee which I wish to choose to do the transactions for. I could use a list of values here to list all of my valid employees, noting that they must be previously set up on the employee master file maintenance within Dynamic 3i. So we actually choose a particular person and query up any transactions that he may already have and want to continue, or the system will, if there's been no transactions as seen here, will simply start default and go down within the first start transaction and time that we wish to enter. So this is the actual time that the employee has done against job, and I'm actually logging anything here. So the timesheets could be submitted. You do not have to enter it in any given military time is accepted, but you do not have to put the colon. So we could actually say start time is 0800 hours. Notice I don't have to put the colon. The system will automatically put that in for me. And he may have performed whatever given task that I'm going to put in here for a period of 2 hours from 8 to 10 o'clock. I'm now positioned in the job, so now I can put this against any job. I could use a list of values to actually pull up all valid jobs against the system. Maybe I'll choose the very first operation of a particular job. The system will then pull the required time for that particular operation and then ask me for the labor rate that's going to occur. It will default to a regular. With this pop list, I can actually choose an overhead time rate, any different setup rates. If this was a setup operation against this job and he was working overtime to do it, I could choose the rate that is going to come or be used off of the employee defined for him, any rates that he has on that employee master file maintenance. Leaving it at regular, the system will use the regular rate that this particular employee has. Shift code, if he is attached to any given shift, whether I have shifts set up on the system, regular, shift 1 or shift 2, then this is what the system will calculate. And down here, a regular is using the regular overtime 1, overtime 2. That comes down to this pop list over here. And the shift code is simply used to denote what shift that he was actually on. The system will automatically total the time produced, so we will get the difference between 10 and 8 will be the total time used. The quantity produced that the system asked me for is for information only. If this was a task-oriented operation where I wanted to see how much he's produced within those 2 hours, it could be recorded. I could actually enter 100 as far as the units that went through there, information only. Estimated time required and standard hours is information only. When the actual system comes up, it will ask me for a learning factor if I wanted to associate this for particular new employees or an intermediate or beginner. Again, it's information, and the system actually defaults to just normal. Estimated time remaining, if this particular task was not complete and there was going to be more time issued against it, I may have, there's 1 hour remaining or 2 hours remaining. Again, information only for the actual entry. Upon entering return, the system will automatically come down to the next transaction. This has now been entered for this particular job and operation. It will automatically default to the last time that I entered if I wanted to just hit return over the field, assuming that I'm going to enter another task from this point in time forward. Or I could actually enter in a time, there may have been a lapse, or may enter 11. I cannot enter a time less than this particular stop time here for this entry. So the system will default to the 10 o'clock, and I can enter from there until 10:30. Notice again, I still do not have to put the colon. The system will automatically calculate that for me. It may be the same job, and it may be a different operation, of which I can actually use a query on to show me all the operations against that job. System will pull in, based on that operation, the required time, default again, total time 0.05, and I can actually simply key through those particular fields and go on to the next labor record and have the system go key in everything here. After entering all of the labor time for this particular employee, simply hit commit. Transactions will be posted, and the labor usage has been recorded against these jobs entered here. It's important to note here I could enter all of his labor across all multiple jobs here and operations. It does not have to be keyed towards one job, although depending on how the entry is done, it could be done that way by all means. And that concludes labor usage entry.